My topic is advertising and consumer behavior. My topic statement is the use of narratives within video commercials and how this might influence consumers' potential spending behavior, interests, and product perception. The research additionally aims to highlight narrative use as an effective communicative and persuasive tactic within advertising. The first chosen research method is narratology. This will help you to understand how narratives are created, the structural elements that are used, and extends towards a consideration of the audience's interactions and interpretations of said narratives in order to ascertain how this may influence consumer behavior. The first guiding principle allows me to focus on the structural elements used to create the narrative, which is the plot of the video commercial, and in turn how the plot is used to create meaning and impact for consumers. Secondly, narratology allows me to focus on the characters and how their stories are engaged within the plot in order to understand viewer relatability, an element that fosters consumer connection to narratives. Thirdly, narratology really helps me to engage those symbolic representations of consumer desires that are found within narrative use and how this in turn might influence consumers' potential behaviors. Lastly, narratology will really help me to focus in on those audience interpretations and what potential emotional triggers this could have. These emotional triggers in turn can be significant shapers of consumer behaviors, in particular product perceptions. The research focus is on the Nike commercial Dream Crazy. Narratology will help me to understand how Nike used the video commercial's plot to create narratives, the significance of Colin's character within these narratives, and in turn audiences' potential relatability and interpretations of these narratives in order to understand how the video commercial might have affected consumers' behaviors towards Nike's products. The first research question is pertaining to how the commercial's narratives were created in the plot. In particular, what Western concepts, societal and cultural, do the commercial's plot employ? And in particular, how does Nike products center product placement through these narratives and ideals? Secondly, how does Colin's character and other supporting characters come together to signify Western concepts of success and systemic marginalization? Particularly, what potential emotional triggers could this have, especially in marginalized groups of viewers? Lastly, how would these viewer interpretations and emotions, alongside the narratives created in the plot, work together to build consumer interest and potential spending behavior towards Nike's products? Narrative use within video commercials increases consumers' experiential fantasies with the products. It sells the assumption that they can attain their desires and an idealized self-image of themselves through product consumption. Therefore, when understanding the persuasive tactic of narrative use, narratology is crucial. The second chosen method is psychoanalytic criticism. This was chosen to help offer an additional exposure and lens into the persuasive influence of narrative use in video commercials. For one, the method allows me to showcase how video commercials and the use of narratives within those commercials align consumers' unconscious desires with the product. This in turn can significantly influence consumers' spending desire and product perceptions. Secondly, psychoanalytic criticism alongside narratology will provide additional exposure and examination into how narrative use provides subliminal messaging and conveys deeper meanings in order to influence consumers' behaviors, mainly spending desire and product perception. Lastly, psychoanalytic criticism helps me to explain how narrative use within video commercials presents consumers with an idealized image of themselves and leads them to the assumption that they can attain this self-fulfilled image through attaining the product. The first research question is has to do with what Western concepts of unconscious desires and self-fulfillment are portrayed within the narratives of the Nike commercials plot. More importantly, what psychological responses could this trigger, particularly in marginalized groups of viewers? The second question is, how might these psychological responses, alongside the narratives, positively reinforce consumers' potential spending behaviors? And how is this done through product centering specifically? Lastly, how might the psychoanalytic influence of narrative use in video commercials be employed within eco-friendly advertising and consumption? The significance of this research has its implications in eco-friendly advertising. Environmental advertisers might employ the persuasive tactic of narrative use in video commercials in order to promote environmental awareness, eco-friendly product placement, and positive consumption habits.